Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's watch party for Back to the Future Part 3. We're finishing off the trilogy, possibly the most perfect trilogy in cinematic history. As always, I'm Andrew, and I'm joined by, I think he's there today. Is he there? Yeah. Looking for it to update on my screen. No, other side. He's that side. There we go. And there's Dom. Welcome back, Dom.
Hello, everybody.
Thank you for joining us again today. So, everybody, your sync point today will be on my edition of the movie. It's approximately 46 seconds in, where it says Steven Spielberg presents. So if everyone gets it queued up to there, we'll have a little bit of a chat. Let's do a roll call first. So over on YouTube, I can see our great friends Soul Search and Destroy and Joshua Nelson are joining us. And over on Discord, I can see we have Sharon, Calbot, Lizardman, Eric, Hannah Rose Artist, Mad Matt's here, but I think Mad Matt said he was going out. So there we go. James Hellier, and there we go. So Dom, how old were you when you saw this? I guess, did you see it at the cinema? No, you're too young, aren't you?
No, I couldn't. I was still not there. I don't think. No, I wasn't there. I remember seeing this on TV like every single holiday season. This was the one that was shown the most for me as a child. I think I saw this one the most as a child as well. And I think because of that, I gravitated towards part 2 the most, because I was like, it's a science fiction series. Why are we in the past, man?
Yeah.
But the Wild West is so much fun.
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, this film. I mean, I'm an old man speaking here. I'm of the age I saw all of these when they were originally released at the cinemas. And I remember finishing with Back to the Future 2, much as we did last week, with the trailer at the end for Back to the Future 3 showing the Old West. Going into it, and I don't know, I had mixed feelings about it. I really like the film. There's nothing wrong with it, but I've never been a huge fan of Westerns. I think that's maybe where I struggled with some of it, but it had the heart of Back to the Future. Oh, Mad Matt's here for the show. Great. And Doug P as well. Welcome. So, if everyone's just about ready, let's get this show on the road. With a 5, with a 4, a 3, a 2, and a 1. Press play. And we see the great Steven Spielberg presents a Robert Zemeckis film.
It's crazy that a franchise can have such different styles associated with it. There's the hyper-futuristic part 2 with the self-lacing shoes, the hoverboards. There's the 50s kind of cool rockabilly music and the Wild West, all of which are very Back to the Future. It's nuts to me.
But
and of course the 80s, which an incredibly 80s film as well, or trilogy of films.
Yeah, exactly. Soul Search and Destroy saying the 1800s was when the modern sci-fi genre as we know it was born. Think Jules Verne, Mary Shelley, steampunk, and so on. So the Wild West setting makes sense. It does. It does make sense.
It's touched on in this film as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
I believe Doc is reading a lot of it then?
However, when we're referring to, you did say the word steampunk and Wild West, we will not speak of the Wild Wild West movie.
I purchased tickets to see that film, and that was one of the movies I didn't see in the cinema, even though I purchased tickets to see it. That was one of the films I got the tickets to see, and then snuck into a different film. And I believe that film was the South Park movie.
Well, I've got Doug P saying, notice that the movie had the 75th anniversary Universal logo on the start. Was it the first time it's shown? I believe it was all movies released in this year had that. Oh, old Johnny Devick says, wiki.
Did you ever see the TV show of Wild Wild West?
No.
TV show wasn't bad. It was pretty good. It's very oh god, what's that Sam Raimi produced one? With it'll come to me.
Yeah.
The Adventures of Briscoe County Jr. And that show was great. That show shouldn't have been cancelled. That was phenomenal.
Frag Lord Welcome says about Briscoe County.
Briscoe County Jr. is amazing.
Thank you, Sharon. This movie was the first one released to celebrate the Universal 75th anniversary. I love this version of the score. This is quite different to a lot of the rest of it.
It's a lot softer.
And Marty must be quite strong. He's carrying Doc quite easily there and picking him up. Yes, it's a fireman's carry, but Marty's doing well there.
That's it. Lift with your back, people. That's definitely the best way to do it.
But it's also quite nice that we're showing what a true friend Marty is to Doc. Doc's not well. He's passed out for whatever reason due to the stress of re-seeing Future Boy. But Marty's more focused on taking care of Doc than stressing about his predicament, because Marty isn't aware that what we're about to find out is there for him. But it also shows the kind of the fantastic relationship between Marty and Doc, that even though Doc is in a bad place, he still makes a provision to save Marty.
It's a great relationship. It's one of cinema's best duos.
Yeah. And I'm glad we don't have a full backstory to it. I think that's one of the best things. I don't need an
origin story.
No, I don't need to know how they got to be best friends.
You just know that if it gets remade, there's going to be one. And it will remove so much of the magic.
Yeah.
Howdy doody time was that? I wish I had Doc's energy half the time.
Yeah.
It's impressive and infectious. We never saw these angles of the house in the original film, did we?
No, not at all. They were much lower as well, weren't they?
It most likely has to have been a different set that's been built. It may have been filmed in a real house. I don't know.
It may have been filmed in the real external house. I don't know, but I know you can visit that. Some kind of an art house type place or something. Oh, and he's got the old-fashioned church organ.
And of course, it plays a horror type sting. I love it. So theatrical.
I just love the fact. I love the fact when Doc doesn't agree with something, he just locks himself in the bathroom.
Is this the most effective, like, if you haven't seen the previous films, here is the explanation?
It pretty much is.
I miss magnifying glass gags. They are so good. Like, you ever seen Top Secret? The magnifying glass gag in that? Yes, hover conversions. I keep meaning to convert my truck into a hover truck.
Yeah. Well, James Hellier says, I saw 2 and 3 in the cinema as a child. 2 disappointed me, and 3 was a return to form as I like Westerns. That's cool. But Back to the Future's got something for everybody in it.
It does.
The science fiction never gets too heavy in them.
Yeah, it's very easy to understand. It's very digestible sci-fi.
Yeah, it's not Dune.
No. Delgado mine? I swear the Delgados were a family of people in Stephen King's The Dark Tower franchise.
Well, also, there was Roger Delgado, the original actor to play the Master in Doctor Who, was killed in a car accident in the 1970s. Close friend of John Pertwee.
Bloody hell.
Do not attempt to come and save me, but I know you're coming back for me anyway, Marty.
Yeah.
No, thank you, Mad Matt. Delgado is Spanish for the Gado. Oh, good point, Sharon. Let's do the mind trip now. How many Martys are in existence on the timelines now? How many Docs? If it is possible for more than one of you to exist at the same time, do they ever go away if time is not linear? Oh, God. Well, it depends if time travel is that or time travel is parallel universes. So is there, for example, when we see in a short moment, is there a Marty that's killed by the DeLorean crashing into the billboard because it doesn't, because it doesn't travel in time? It's not repaired correctly.
Now going into multiverse theory.
Oh. Yeah, James Hellier saying Christopher Lloyd being an old man sits alongside Fisher Stevens as an Indian as things I just accepted as a shard. I agree with you as a child. However, I don't find the age portrayal as tasteless as Fisher Stevens in Short Circuit.
Yeah.
Oh, that dog.
Oh,
That's the cutest dog ever.
I need to get Bones one of those. Didn't Disneyland have a bunch of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea stuff?
Yes.
Either in plan or actually there?
Yeah, they did have Captain Nemo's submarine.
Does Disney still own the rights to that? I'm curious.
Yeah, it's on Disney Plus. Yes, yeah. And there's actually a Disney. The side note: there's a Disney Plus show coming out called Nemo, and it's a prequel about. And it's a prequel show about Captain Nemo being fleeing India as a young man, and I'm quite up for that. Actually, I think that could be quite interesting.
Yeah.
Hey, Brandon M, welcome.
You can see how much I go on Disney Plus.
Bit different in the UK because we get Star, so we get horror movies.
You get your Hulu stuff through there as well.
All Hulu, all the Hulu, yeah, all the Hulu stuff.
I love how he sends him instructions on how to fix a car with old school tech.
Well, future tech, which is old school tech to him.
Mm-hmm. Those are the days, eh?
I don't know. I just one thing that in this movie they resisted the urge to do is play the time travel game from Bill and Ted.
Yeah.
Because Doc in the past could have sent a message somehow to Doc in the future to come back and save him or something. You know, they could have been all these things by writing notes and leaving notes in cars and things. As we're about to find out shortly later in the film, if they had a certain substance, they could have just left a note in the car saying, leave a can of this in the car.
Yeah, and it would have been done. But that's there you go. That's one of the beautiful things about this franchise, and differentiating it from Bill and Ted, an equally good time travel film. In Bill and Ted, time travel isn't really part of the stakes. It's more of a means to an end. And in here, it's the solution and the problem. This all happened because it was there, and it's the way to solve things.
Hannah Rose has been to Disney Sea. I would love to go there.
Is that in Japan?
Japan, one of the Japanese Disney parks. It's incredible.
I've heard good things. Over a matter of $80.
Tell you what, the genes are very strong for the Tannin men, aren't they?
Oh yes, they're incredible.
Hannah Rose says it's still there and waiting. Go, I will one day. I will get to Japan at some point.
Is this the most evil Tannin, or Biff from Back to the Future Part 2? Who's the more evil one?
There we go. Soul Searching Choice says, poor Marty has to deal with his friends and family dying over and over again in multiple timelines. It is very strange. It's also quite interesting that how restrained ultimately they are with time travel. Oh God, Brandon, and you're going to break my mind. If future self dies in the past, does the past you disappear? Oh, I don't know.
I would say no. I think time is a linear thing. So if you go back to a point before you were born, you'd simply cease existing until you are born, then continue to exist to return.
Oh, welcome, Edward the Black Prince.
Ah, yes, the authentic boots. I think you look rather spiffing, Marty.
There's some discrete batteries that he's fitted.
It's interesting, isn't it? They've made 3 films that are essentially the same film.
Yep.
And yet they find ways to be incredibly unique and have little differences. Different enough. It's like 20% different enough so that your brain isn't bored by the story.
I like the fact now we can see Marty's cowboy outfit has very much of the era. He's got atomic energy symbols on the collar.
Yeah. So I've been to the drive-in a few times. I went quite a lot during COVID because that was one of the easiest ways to see a lot of films. And there's a local drive-in here in Las Vegas, which is just really nice. Downside, the audio always sucks. The visuals occasionally are muddied by other light, like light pollution.
But doesn't the audio
it's a hell of an experience.
Don't use your own car stereo for the audio?
Yeah.
So it's very much dependent on how good your car's stereo is.
I think depending, because you tune into a station, and I think sometimes the place where I go to, I guess their transponder isn't that great, and it comes up with loads of crackles. But there's ways around that. popcorn's cheaper there. The
Yeah.
food is better there because you can. Oh, also you can bring in like food from home.
Yeah, but don't forget in the UK, our cinemas let you do that, don't they?
Wait, bring in food from home?
Yeah. Did you not know
Has
this?
it been that long?
UK cinemas aren't allowed to stop you by law over here from bringing it as long as it's not hot.
You've blown my mind. Oh, as long as it's not hot.
As long as it's not like hot food that would disrupt the movie.
So I couldn't bring in a bowl of spaghetti. That's
no. Marty, we don't say Indians anymore, do we?
No.
Native Americans. This is quite a cool visual, though. With
it is, even though it's Arizona. Wasn't he in California? Oh, it's just, yeah. It's
supposed to be California. Old
school California.
Yeah, definitely Arizona.
Oh god, I'm getting horrible flashbacks to the Genesis game, the Mega Drive game of Back to the Future Part 3. Good god, that was a pile of crud. I wish my car could make that noise every time I open it. A sci-fi hiss and a whiz.
Yes, apparently, James Hellier, Hillview is in Monument Valley.
Yeah. So I had a mate as a kid. We'd always play, kids games like Cowboys and Natives, Pirates, all that kind of kiddie fun stuff. He would always be some weird military get. So we'd play Pirates, right? We'd all play Pirates, all my mates and I. And we'd be like swashbuckling heroes going back and forth. He'd be the Royal Navy, and he'd perpetually like force us to go through like tax laws. And it was the biggest skill.
Was his name George Lucas by chance?
Oh, if you're out there and listening, Lawrence, I'll never forgive you for making us do tax laws in the pirate game. I swear there's a system with bears, like black bear and brown bear, if you're supposed to act big or play dead. And I think Marty's doing the wrong one. I think black bears you're supposed to play dead.
Yeah, Soul Search and Destroy agrees. So did Dom secretly play with George Lucas and not tell us?
Uncle Jorge, yeah. Oh.
That's a very Irish Marty McFly ancestor. Joshua Nelson says, are the bears in the desert in Hill Valley? Don't forget, those giants mountainous rocks appear to have disappeared in the past.
Gotta watch out for desert bears. Here in Vegas, desert bear all the time.
Yeah, but that bear was
casinos.
That bear was Gentle Ben. So that's all right. Hang on.
I know.
No, I'm just working this out. The surname traditionally comes from the father's side. His mother's maiden name is Baines. His father's name is George McFly. how does his great whatever grandmother this is on his, which would be on his father's side, resemble his mother?
They needed the actress back. That's
Okay.
how.
I'll go that.
The exact same thought was going through my head just then. Billy McFly.
Yeah, it's also like I'm fine with the Irish, all the Irish people. The paternal relations. I wish I hadn't thought about that.
Well, Oedipus complex. People are drawn to those that resemble their mother.
Yeah, Lizard Man, you're right. It's probably best not to think too hard on the fact his great-great-grandmother looks like his mother at all. His great-great-grandmother on his father's side.
I've just noticed how Irish McFly's tackling his fowl with his cutlery, like he's trying to murder it.
The corn looks decent. I don't know if I drink the Minute
The
Maid
runoff.
they poured. Oh, actually, I've had
spit out the buckshot.
I've had something similar to that happen to me once, and it was a huge disappointment. It was a Christmas about 8-9 years ago. For those who are British, John will know, Marks and Spencer, quite a posh place to buy food from.
It is. Right?
It was Christmas, and my wife had won a competition at work, and we had a substantial amount of Marks and Spencer food vouchers. So we pushed the boat out and ordered things. One of the things I treated myself to out of the Marks and Spencer catalogue that was very expensive was a cold game pie, like a pork pie, but with game meat in it. Very nice. Started biting into a nice slice of it, very excited. It's delicious. Went spitting out buckshot, reading the small print on it. Some buckshot may remain in the birds in this pie.
At least you know it was authentic.
Yeah, may contain shot. Exactly, James. Yeah. that was like a £30 pie at Christmas, and I was like, no.
You pay for the privilege. That's your prize. It's like a Kinder Egg. You open it up and you got your toy inside.
Oh.
I should do one of those ancestry.coms to see who the first Wallace was born in America. If any. Well, there's going to be some of my clan over here, of course, but none of my direct relatives.
James Headley says, it came with free lead poisoning. What's not to like?
Exactly.
It's the shot from the trailer. It's the shot from the trailer. It's quite nice.
As a kid, I was always harsher on this, again, because of I was saying science fiction. I don't want to be in a Western. And I think that stems from the Twilight Zone, where like 30% of the episodes were Westerns, and I dislike those ones.
But I quite like this. We're seeing sort of like Statler, who's a horse dealer, became he's the Toyota dealer who Marty's truck, yeah. And James Haley says, I love that Marty is dressed as Roy Rogers. And A. Jones is still shoveling manure.
Manure hauling. These families, they stick to what they do, don't they?
Yeah.
I do love the harmonica version of the theme as well, just resting in the back.
Exactly, Sharon. These families don't move away either.
No?
Yeah, Lizard Man, you might have a point. maybe this family is actually inbred and dating his mother wouldn't have been a problem. Oh.
Gotta love it. Poor short Marty. Just on the screenplay, you can just see it. This is the bar scene. Yeah. This is this scene.
Walks into bar full of crusty stereotypes. He's talking like he's from the Wild West.
Don't you get me started now, Andrew. Everyone knows the only American accent the English can do is the South, or a cowboy accent.
Yeah, exactly, Lizard Man. That'd be brilliant. Before you know it, Bill and Ted are going to walk inside next.
That's fine by me. That's a very generous shot. The Tannins have been bullying the McFlys for centuries.
Yeah. It is like my daddy bullied his daddy, and his daddy bullied his daddy's daddy too.
Just sitting here enjoying the film again. It
is.
He done said it. Didn't he get the nickname because of his tendency to drool?
Yeah, spittoon.
I do love how Marty's uniquely cool 80s kid talents help him in every situation he finds himself in. Video games, avoiding gunshots.
Marty. The problem with this is there's no flat surface and nothing for him to have his wheels on, or a hoverboard to recreate the. I guess there was a temptation to work out how to recreate it. So this is quite interesting. I know when they shot this that Michael J. Fox actually did some of this being pulled around, and he was nearly strangled at a couple points in the movie.
It hurts. It hurts a huge amount. I played often with my grandfather's horses, my siblings and friends and I, and we may have done very silly, stupid things like trying to roller skate while being dragged by horses and stuff like that. It never went down well. I'm very lucky to be alive and very lucky to not have broken anything. Oof.
Mm.
Doc.
There's only one thing Doc could do to make that a bit cooler. If he did the T2 style spinning the shotgun.
Yeah,
Or
just
the rifle. One-armed spin of the rifle.
Such a cool duster.
Foreshadowing.
He is telling it like it is. He wears a duster well.
Does. So this is the interesting thing, because does Doc not have a memory of the events of sending him back?
I guess time has to reconfigure, like
I don't know.
said.
Maybe it's to catch up or something.
Yeah. Not yet, you don't.
They've got a machine that's in. There's a place called Jock Lindsay's, which is my favorite places in Disney Springs, which is the Indiana Jones bar, and it has some bonkers over the top machinery in the bar. And they have a machine not too dissimilar, not quite as big as this, that makes ice cubes. Allegedly, it doesn't really, but it's this overly complicated, over-engineered machine that appears to make ice cubes for the bar.
And there she is. Well, it's at least her name.
Yeah, Sharon, you're right. Doc in this timeline should know that all this is what was going to happen. Oh God, this is getting out of hand now, James. Shouldn't Doc, knowing that Doc sent Marty back to stop? Shouldn't Doc know that Doc sent Marty back to stop Biff killing Doc?
Poor Jennifer.
Yes, but Doug, 1985 Doc, which this is, or 1985 and a half Doc, if we say because he's been here for 6 months, he should have all the memories of 1955 Doc.
A single ice cube. I love it. There you go. That's
Yeah, but Doc, I would hope that if they could obtain some crude oil from somewhere, you would know how to perform fractional distillation, which my secondary school chemistry teacher showed me. You'd be able to make a very crude form of petrol.
back to Arizona.
Well, Brandon, they'd have kerosene.
Darn.
Lizard Man says, enough. None of us are qualified to figure this out. Clearly, we need to take a course in theoretical temporal mechanics.
It's true.
I'm going to also raise a slight issue here as well. Just one more. About the whole 88 miles an hour thing. The DeLorean has traveled in time, not at 88 miles an hour.
Oh.
At the end of Back to the Future 2, the DeLorean was stationary when it got hit by a bolt of lightning, which caused it to go back in time.
That's a very good point.
But this is quite an interesting thing, actually, because if you look at it, it just shows how, even in our lives now, how technology has progressed. Because in the 1800s here, they're saying 90 miles an hour. Ooh, 90 miles an hour, that's impossible. That's impossible. Maybe just, but any car now can easily do 90 miles an hour within reason. Most cars now can do significantly more than 90 miles an hour.
Oh, yes. Oh, such a picturesque landscape.
It is. Soul Search and Destroy says, nowadays, if you're going through certain stretches of California in the Wild West, if you're going 88 miles an hour, you're probably going too slow.
Yep, I can say that with confidence. It's funny how speed gets away with you. It's all...
Yes.
What's the term? It's all relevant. When you're going that fast, when you suddenly have to slow down for one reason or another, if certain blue and red lights start flashing, you feel really slow. Really slow.
Yeah. This is nice, though. This is some proper old-fashioned horseback.
Here's that first level of that Genesis game. Ugh.
Exactly, Lizard Man. It hauls ass, this movie. We're 42, just over 42 minutes into it.
Bloody hell! I didn't know we were already like 3/4 of an hour through.
Yeah.
It does haul.
That's what's great about it.
This film has no problem getting up to 88 miles an hour.
Oh, Dom, you card.
Oof.
I'm glad as well they resisted the urge to have the carriage explode for no reason at the bottom of the ravine.
It just doesn't burst into flames.
Yeah.
Don't be silly. The horses would be the ones bursting into flames.
Exactly, Doug. If this were a Michael Bay movie, the carriage, when it hit the bottom, would have exploded in 3D with
a booming
energy
soundtrack
waves and things. Yeah.
So we got about Michael Bay. He does soundtracks very well. Maybe it's because he was destined to do music videos instead of movies. That's such a quaint little cabin.
Yeah.
I want to have a vacation there.
Ladies in our Discord who wear lady garments, how would you feel about having to go about your day-to-day life wearing a big artificial wicker ass like she has to wear? If you look, like a kind of a corsety frame thing on her skirt.
Mm.
It's basically like a big artificial ass she has to wear. I bet you're glad you don't have, they aren't part of day-to-day life now. Sharon says, no, no, no.
And yet ponchos and a duster, more than happy to wear them. God, men's fashion hasn't really changed over the generations, has it?
They are well, yeah, exactly, Shan. She's a nerd like imperfect. They are so well suited as characters.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's probably worth saying Christopher Lloyd is such a great actor. He's in a lot of our movies we love.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be an incredibly sad day when he finally passes and leaves us.
Hopefully not for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's Krug or Krug in Star Trek 3.
Mm-hmm.
As well, Doc. It's been so many movies. Just great actor.
Addams Family.
Addams Family, which of course will be our first watch party of 2023. Yeah,
with the batteries.
It helps when he's good. He's in a good film like this one. He's in a lot of good films, and of course, don't forget he's Kinder Trauma Supreme, Judge Doom from Roger Rabbit.
Oh, of course.
Yep, there you go, Mad Matt.
I wonder how many little changes do get made to 1985 over the course of these three movies? Because we've got the Lone Pines Mall.
You mean the butterfly effect, but has something else happened though with it?
Mm.
You do wonder what the butterfly effect, what the wider implications of that sign only being a lone pine, but have they, ruined people's lives as well?
Yeah, that's interesting. That's the sequel I want to see.
Well, the Back to the Future of what they've actually done.
Yeah, the horror movie.
But we were discussing this last week in your absence, Dom. Possibly the reason that we no longer have, we had 2015, but we didn't have flying cars, Mr. Fusion, and all that stuff. Is Doc and Marty changed the timeline somehow?
I believe it. They're the reason we don't have all of our cool Kia.
Mhm.
Sad times. But they've changed the ravine name.
Yeah,
Lone Pines, of course. I wonder
the
what
ravine.
else.
The ravine becomes Eastwood Ravine.
It does. I'd go to a blacksmith to get my telescope repaired as well.
He's a man of science. The only thing about Clara in this is, I would say she's very much framed as a bit of a typical damsel in distress type character.
Personally, I don't see a problem with the damsel in distress trope.
No. But I guess that may have been a woman of the era, where it was, where a lady was very prim and proper.
A very well-educated woman. Isn't she becoming the teacher?
She'll be a teacher.
Town?
Yes.
Yeah.
So she'll be teaching woodwork and shop. And science. And everything. Why not?
A few centuries earlier than this, she'd be hanged and burned at the stake for knowing mathematics.
Okay, Sharon, I'll go with that. She isn't so much a damsel in distress, but looking for someone very much like Doc. It's sweet. I guess she's looking for the right person in her life.
As a Brit, someone who has a lot of knowledge of the history of bloody time itself, having towns that are centuries old, and then looking at the Americas where everything is a few centuries at most, and then some places like Las Vegas, the town I live in, which is it was built in what, the 40s, 50s.
We got a bit of ZZ Top of hearing.
Okay, this is a certified jam, to be fair. This song is amazing. And I am not a country fan at all. I despise the genre, but this is toe-tappingly addictive.
I don't know. Country music as I've got older, I've started to like a bit more country music.
No, you got to fight that urge, Andrew.
I don't know. There's something about the right country song going on when you're in your car.
Yeah, it's always wild to me seeing places that have people older than them living in it. It's weird. Houses that aren't hundreds of years old, that haven't survived longer than a human lifespan. It's nuts. And having that lack of history, oddly enough, it doesn't make things smaller.
No.
But then I look at this film where it's got the clock tower that's existed since the 1800s, and it's existed up until at least, oh no, it goes into the future, doesn't it? Into the
but it's broken. It's broken after 1955.
Yeah, it never rings again. But it's there, and it's got a story to tell.
She's really into that music behind the clapping woman.
Can you blame her?
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of anything in my hometown of Birmingham besides the entirety of Middle Earth that has historical significance that I have interacted with and have not really valued. I can't think of anything. Like, I've been to the place where Tolkien thought of as the Shire, and I've interacted with that area. But yeah, monuments and artifacts.
Yeah, well, I'm from Lincolnshire originally, in the town of Lincoln, where I grew up. We've got Roman stuff there, and a cathedral built nearly 1,000 years, over 1,000 years ago. So
it's nuts, isn't it? Like, I've gone to Pompeii and I've walked in Pompeii, and places like that, you feel the history.
Yeah. Here we go. Colt's patent firearms. Either Marty is very, very strong, or that gun didn't have a lot of kickback to it.
Someone mentioned it earlier. Once we hear that ZZ Top song, we won't be able to get out of our heads, and they're totally on the point. It's still there. It's got free real estate right now. It's living rent free.
Strickland cameo, and he's got hair.
Yes. A lot of nepotism, clearly, in Hill Valley, where everyone just slots into the role they were assigned at birth.
Yeah, so he's gone from town marshal to
principal,
high school principal.
Discipline. I'll pass it down to my boy and my boy's boy.
I like the technology, hat, Mr. McFly.
Ah, yeah, you need your hat. Keeps the rain off your head. But the technology from even the last film to this have improved greatly. You can't even see the line down the frame. Whereas in part 2, when you had the two Biffs in the car, it was very easy to see.
Yeah, there was parts of it that... Yeah, Brandon, even Strickland gets an origin in this film.
This film and the last were made the same time, weren't they?
Basically back to back.
Yeah, filmed back to back.
Yeah. He's got the cowboy yokel voice too.
Careful, Buford. Clay fell, crow fly. It's incredible how much of a disgusting sleazeball he's able to be, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. But that's what's great about him. But apparently the actor is really, really nice.
It's always the case.
Yeah.
The worst bad guys are always the nicest people.
Yeah. But it also shows what a great actor he is, because his versions of Biff are so different.
Yeah. Yeah, there's three very distinct, well, four really. Old man Tannen is very different from young 80s Tannen.
Yeah. Where's the marshal?
Outside checking irons.
There he is.
See, cool guy talents,
Yeah.
frisbee throwing.
It was 80s, pure 80s. Lived in California. You knew how to throw a frisbee in the 80s in California.
80s cool guy talents that have saved the day. Being able to play the guitar, frisbee, Michael Jackson dancing.
Cool at video games, shooting video games.
Cool at video games. Yep.
Yeah. Any of our resident Californians in the Discord or on YouTube, do you learn these skills in school or? Soul Social Destroy says in California you need at least 2 of Marty's skills to survive even today.
Busy schedule being an outlaw. There we go.
Yeah, but
finally here.
But surely, if sorry about that, Trevor, on the YouTube chat, which is a spam bot joining. But surely, allowing the marshal to arrest Mad Dog and take him to prison for a few days would kind of solve their problem.
Yes.
Or it does.
Hunt you down and shoot you like a duck. Gumption. I miss half of these words. We need to get them back.
Gumption. You got the moral fiber and fortitude.
Got bigger problems if he loses.
Yeah. Nobody would have taught unless you for it.
I've heard worse Irish accents, to be fair.
Yes, I've seen Far and Away. Tell me you like my hat.
Poor Martin. It's one way to prove you don't have a yellow belly.
Oh, that's right.
Get shanked.
That's a good point. Oh, Hannah Rose. Poor Seamus sees his brother Martin in Marty. Well, since it appears Martin lives on somehow, is that child actually Seamus's?
No.
If Martin was a bad boy.
Stranger things have happened. Another one of my friends as a child figured out that a great way to seem interesting to members of the opposite sex would be to learn some star constellations. Unfortunately, he didn't want to learn anything, so he started making them up, where we would gaze at the night sky, and I'd often hear him in the distance talking to some female companions about, oh yes, that's the Big Dipper there. Meanwhile, I'd be looking at the Big Dipper, like totally different direction. I'm like,
well, Soul Searching Choices, Clara and Doc are two nerds bonding over nerdom, romantic as hell. To be perfectly honest, it's nice. They're bonding over fandom.
Yeah.
Until they fall out.
Fans.
Until they fall out, as one likes the prequels and one doesn't.
I mean, that's legitimate.
Yeah.
Because we can't like different things.
No.
Still all these clocks.
Oh, that's nice, Hannah. Thank you. Doc and Clara bonding over sci-fi novels reminds us of our watch parties. Aww. Exactly. Oh, and he's built... Oh, I don't want his bacon, though.
Oh, God, no.
But this is a nice throwback again to the
first movie.
His machine in the first movie that made his...
You just need the dog food.
No, I finally got the smell of that out of my nose.
That is a garment I'm happy that has gone by the wayside.
Long johns like that, yeah.
I wonder if people have forgotten what this scene is originally from.
Yeah.
Because it's been parodied so many times that it's just part of pop culture now, isn't it? It's been digested and...
However,
yeah, but most people haven't seen.
There's a connection in that scene to next week's watch party.
Mm.
Who can figure out what that connection might be?
You told me what next week's watch party is, and I've already forgotten it, so I can't figure it out.
Not all that scene. Not all that scene. Part of what he was saying.
The urge to rewind is strong, but that will ruin everything.
Well, he said, "Are you feeling lucky, punk? Make my day." Which movie is that?
Well, that's Dirty Harry.
Okay. And who is the bad guy in Dirty Harry? Let's see if our Discord chat can get this. James Hellier gets it. It's Andrew Robinson. And what movie starring Andrew Robinson might we be featuring next week?
Given that it's spooky season.
Sharon got it. Hellraiser. That's right. That's a nice way of segueing into next week's watch party for you guys. It's Hellraiser next week.
Love it. One of my faves. I love that. I love how they flip their catchphrases. Great Scott. Yes, I know it's heavy. it's just neat. It's this
Yeah.
little things like that, little throwbacks to itself, and it still tugs at my mouth and gives me a smile, a little smirk, because I'm in the know.
See, even now, Doc isn't willing to fix Marty's broken future.
Mm-hmm. It's very tough to have your cake and eat it too in terms of movies.
Yeah.
Sharon and I were discussing it with your favorite science fiction movie, E.T. The endings to E.T., Spielberg manages to have his cake and eat it too. He has that emotional sting, but has a happy ending as well. I like to think this is another example of a film that has its cake and eats it too with the ending.
It does.
And it doesn't feel cheap. E.T.'s one, as an adult, feels cheap.
Yeah.
All I could think of is, you just wanted to make people cry twice, Spielberg.
But the thing that's nice about this is we're seeing here that this is Doc and Marty reversing the roles, where Marty's telling Doc to use his head, not his heart, and Marty's always been led by his heart. That stopped rolling very precisely.
I can't even get off my drive with such a smooth ride.
Yes. In 100 years, she might know what a Back to the Future is.
Maybe. How in tarnation are you going to convince anyone that you're from the future?
You see, now, this is where Doc's wrong. Because Clara doesn't have a future in this timeline.
Exactly.
So Clara could have been removed and taken to the future without causing a problem. Because it's established
Spoilers.
She's supposed to be dead.
She is. In fact, leaving her alive is more dangerous.
So they need to kill Clara.
As an episode of Red Dwarf showed way back when, keeping people alive who are supposed to die isn't necessarily a good thing. Also, 11/22/63 by Stephen King. Oddly enough, the same individual. It's JFK.
I want to see a dark version of this movie where they figure out they have to kill Clara to save time.
That's what I'm telling you. We need the spookier version of Back to the Future.
Yeah.
I've got a fireplace in my house here, and I keep wanting to use it, but it's so bloody hot.
Yeah, you're in. Don't forget, I'm in picturesque merry Britain, where it's starting to turn autumnal now.
You'll have about 6 minutes of that weather before it becomes slushy, horrible winter.
Yes, and wet.
With a few bursts of summer randomly sprinkled in for no reason at all.
Yes, yes.
How I miss that inconsistent weather.
I've had weirder ways of breaking up with me from a relationship where they didn't want to be in it with me. You know, your grandmother died. Your grandmother's dead. You're not ready for the relationship. You're from the future. You're an alien.
Gotta go back.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't have been true. Again, talking about the pacing of this film, we haven't been with Doc and Clara for that long. Honestly, it's been like, what, 3 scenes?
But we feel that, we feel their relationship.
It still hurts.
Yeah.
Look at that sad mug, that Muppet face. Sarsaparilla.
Ugh. I've tried sarsaparilla. I've tried root beer. Neither are for me. Soul Searching Story says it helps that this movie has the pacing that it does. Every moment feels like it has purpose. It does. There's no fat in the movie.
It's really difficult to make this a tighter film, like cutting out anything. Like you said, there's no fat to trim. You take one scene out and then you have to add a scene in to explain the next one. Oh, good God, where have I seen you recently? That's going to bug me. The barbed wire salesman.
Yeah, sarsaparilla if you're with a drink very similar to sarsaparilla here as well. In the UK called dandelion and burdock, which is quite similar to sarsaparilla. And root beer is foul. I'm sorry, I can't drink root beer.
I agree with you, even though I like Mr. Pibb to me is nectar of the gods, and it's very similar tasting, but it's different enough.
Well, Dom, any of the Brits will know exactly this. Root beer tastes like Germaline smells.
Yes, it does.
It's basically like a Neosporin gel we have in the tube in the UK called Germaline for the Americans who are watching, and it has a very similar smell to root beer. Edward the Black Prince says, "Don't come to Texas and say that." Oh, I'm sorry.
What about sarsaparilla or root beer?
I think both. Both, Dom. He says, don't insult sarsaparilla or root beer in Texas.
He said it. God, those 3 just sit there and play poker all day, don't they?
That is one of my favorite falls in any movie ever. The way he just
tumbles down, takes the table with him. For whom the bell tolls.
Well, Brandon M, welcome. He says, what the hell was in that whiskey? Well, quite possibly things like turpentine. And everything else under the sun. Lizard Man, we're just coming up to 1 minute and 20.
Let's make some wake up juice.
Oh.
When I was drinking at the very, very legal age of 18 in the UK, definitely wasn't younger. I definitely wasn't in high school or anything. And we would have a little too much to drink. We'd also make some wake up juice. This reaction is, oh God, it's so cartoonish. I love how good. It's just a michelada. It's probably delicious. Oh, it's how his entire head just shakes awake.
As growing up, I lived in part of where I live was rural Wales, and we used to go to a party. We used to go to parties when I was sort of 17, 18 years old. And there'd been barns, because a lot of my friends' parents were farmers. And one of my friends, his parents had a still. And he would bring 2-litre Coke bottles full of poteen with him, Irish potato whiskey, which is basically just neat alcohol. And we just add that to whatever we were drinking.
Oh, God.
And it was vile.
Eat through the plastic.
Oh, it was vile. And yes, it was not made by a licensed individual.
Did it also fuel airplanes by chance?
We used to be able to tip it out on walls and light it, and it would burn with a blue flame.
I love that. It used to burn walls, and we also drink it.
Yes. Like I say, it'd rock up to a party with 6 or 8 litres of it in Coke bottles. That was the alcohol.
How much would you walk home with?
Oh, no, we'd all be crashed out in the barn.
Yeah, there it goes.
What it mean?
It means you win without a fight.
According to the novelization, the wake-up juice contained green pepper juice, Tabasco sauce, cayenne pepper, chili peppers, onions, and mustard seed. Thank you, Doug P. But again, equally, when I was drinking the poteen, whatever, with my friends, when I was young, I used to do stupid things on dares, like I would drink bottles of Tabasco sauce or cayenne pepper sauce on dares. It's a good point, Sharon. If this Marty dies, would it really mean the end of him, or could he just think he wasn't really born yet anyway?
Don't do it, Marty. Who cares?
No one's spitting in the spittoon.
Yeah.
Ding.
It's harder to do than you think. How many insults does he have? Yes. The notorious hangover of a single shot of whiskey.
We can just see the train in the background there.
Mm-hmm. And for anyone who's seen A Fistful of Dollars,
or Back to the Future too,
showed it off, didn't it?
Mm-hmm. I think we should all wear more hats these days like that.
Like old school bowler hats.
Yes. Professional hats.
I expect to see you rock up tomorrow with a bowler hat.
Bowler hat. One of them stretched bowlers.
Sorry, next week.
One of them stretched bowler hats like they're wearing.
I'll procure a Lincoln hat, get the tall thing going on.
Yes.
So I could be even remotely as close to height as
well,
you.
What you could do is you could have one of those tall hats with an arrow through it. Thank you kindly, gentlemen, giving me exposition.
Yes, exposition people. It's The Thing. That's where I've seen him. God, it's been driving me insane. He's the doc from The Thing.
That's a good point, Doug. So where's Strickland now? They're literally in front of the marshal's office fighting.
It was a organized duel, wasn't it?
Oh, thank you, Lizardman. Yes, I recall that. In the deleted scene, he's dead, the marshal. The marshal's been killed prior to this.
No. I guess there were scenes that you can cut out. But see, cut it out and you miss something.
Yeah. James Hadley says Strickland's in Eternia. Drop it. Ooh.
Hell of a shot.
Yeah.
Also shot an unarmed man.
General, would you care to step outside? Oh. James, I'm going to give you an award there. That's probably the first time anyone has ever invoked an episode of the British sitcom Allo Allo during a watch party. Like René Artois in his duel, he had a coal scuttle under his shirt. Yeah, that's right, Sean. That would break his face. I mean, he'd be spitting his teeth out.
That was good.
Oh, that's fresh. Oh.
Go, lads, go.
Your brother's child.
Martin Jr.
Did Doc not think it might not be a good idea to leave the futuristic battery cells there that he'd attached to the back of the...
He's a man of science, and they're all ignorant, pig-headed fools that don't know what to do with it anyway.
Yes.
Little did he know this would ruin hoverboards, self-lacing shoes, and pretty much everything about 2015.
Yeah. Hannah's got a good point. Give Clara props running all that way in that dress. The get-up alone is probably 10, maybe 15 pounds of fabric.
Oh, yeah.
And I bet those boots she was running in as well probably aren't the most comfortable.
Nope. They certainly weren't made for running.
No.
This is making me nostalgic for horse riding. I know it's...
Yes.
When I get back on a horse and break every bone in my body, it's not going to feel great, but...
James Hellier says, without that, basically the fact that the model is labelled Time Machine, the DeLorean is labelled Time Machine on his model, and he's saying without that note, they may have forgotten that important detail.
Yep.
Oh, this is great, though. This is some proper old-fashioned sort of stunts running down the train.
I'm telling you, if you like this, go watch some Briscoe County Jr. Bruce Campbell at his finest.
I can't help but feel that these trains weren't particularly clean burning or efficient, though.
Oh, no.
Yep, stick 'em up. This is a science experiment. Hannah, speaking of Bruce Campbell, will we ever have one of his films as a watch party? Yes, we will. I have not picked the movie yet, but we will have a Bruce Campbell. We already have had a Bruce Campbell movie in a watch party with Evil Dead.
Oh.
Quite a while ago.
Don't think I was there for that one. I would have had so much to say.
Who wants Army of Darkness?
Good. Bad. I'm the guy with the gun. Army of Darkness is infinitely quotable.
Army of Darkness is our second watch party of 2023. You got it, gang. Just put it on the list.
Perfect.
James is saying, what about Maniac Cop? We did Maniac Cop quite a while ago. I don't know if that's due a revisit yet, but maybe one of the sequels.
His classic run as Elvis in Bubba Hotep.
Mm-hmm. And we may as well say we scheduled it in. The third movie of 2023 is going to be one Dom hasn't seen.
Oh.
And I think everyone's going to love this. The third movie of 2023 will be the Chuck Norris horror movie, sci-fi horror movie, Silent Rage, where Chuck Norris karate kicks a cyborg serial killer with an axe.
It sounds like it should be a joke, doesn't it? Like a punchline.
But when I told Dom of this film, he knew his life would not be complete unless he'd seen it.
Exactly. I need to... It's a cinematic faux pas that I haven't seen it already.
Well, Sharon says that movie's an absolute blast, so we're going to have a great time. I love... Now let's go back to this. This is such a cool... These are such cool scenes, though. I love it as the DeLorean picks up speed, as the train picks up speed. The smoke changes every time the train just lurches forward.
Mm-hmm.
And I also love the fact that Doc is basically cosplaying as a train driver because he's so excited to do it.
Yeah. It's great. It's so simple. Like, how do you raise the stakes when everyone's on there? It should be, running like clockwork, right? But you throw a spanner in the works, make things a little more hectic, ramp up that music, get that soundtrack blasting, make it easy identifiable for the audience by having colored smoke.
I'm assuming that this is Fahrenheit, this gauge, not Celsius.
I heavily doubt it's Celsius as well. Perhaps it's Kelvin.
Well, no, because I think if the train was getting to 2000... Yeah, if it was... Yeah, it's got to be Fahrenheit, because halfway through then, if it was Celsius, the train would actually start melting.
Yeah.
So...
Also, it's an American film, isn't it? They use Fahrenheit for everything.
Yeah. Must be Fahrenheit, yeah. I was going to say, it'd be quite interesting if the train started melting as they were doing it. It's a molten metal flicking behind them.
Or Clara.
Yeah. This reminds me of when you were a kid and you had your bike and you'd be cycling down a hill as fast as you could.
Mm-hmm.
And you would be doing sort of 30 miles an hour probably down a hill. And it would feel like you were doing 500,000 miles an hour on your bike.
It's
but now
true.
If you're doing 30 miles an hour in your car, you're like, this is slow.
I need to speed up.
Yeah. That kind of feeling.
It only seats 2.
No, except 3 in there and a dog. Don't forget.
Yeah.
So it was all right. But I'm enjoying the music here. He's mixing kind of the love theme in with the main action music as well, the Clara love theme. Lizardman says Clara could probably make it if she ditches the boots.
But they're so fashionable.
Mm.
She's proven to be a better horseman than both Marty and Doc by catching up to a speeding train.
Yeah, that's true.
And she's slightly more athletic than the pair of them as well.
Fraglord, could she sit on top of the time machine? I don't think that would go well, considering normally the DeLorean is covered in like ice when it travels through time.
We can say safely that it would be pretty cool to do that, though.
Oh, Dom, no. I apologize for Dom.
Baby.
Hannah says, ditch a fabulous pair of boots? Hell no.
Hell no. Priorities.
Yeah.
Oh. Oof. See? I've always wanted to do a wheelie in my car as well.
That's a good point, Sharon. Clara in bare feet could be worse. So I suspect that train might be getting hot in parts.
Yeah.
Danger to manifolds going to flash up on a computer screen now, like in Fast and Furious, as the rivets start shooting out.
They had to have been thinking, we need to put more hoverboard in this film. It's so cool. We need more hoverboard.
But I suppose the thing is, though, they couldn't. The unique thing about the hoverboard is it wasn't something they could market as a home item for the kids, where it would actually be something that would sell. Because if they had sold it, kids would have been upset that it didn't actually hover, and it would have ended up in some enormous lawsuit.
Mm-hmm.
From litigious parents who are very disappointed. And if you get it for most kids at the time, I got you a hoverboard, what does it do? It just sits on the floor.
Yep.
So they created a thing people wanted, but they couldn't actually exist. Here we go. Now this is, in a minute, some of the saddest. I remember watching this as a kid, and the next scene shocked me in the cinema. Yeah, it hurt. It really hurt.
Very cool visual.
Exactly, Soul Search Destroy. Yeah, get ready to boo. Ooh. See? Oh, there you go. Michael Bay would be happy at that.
Yep, I was going to say guest directed by Michael Bay.
Yep.
Great transition.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The Eastwood Ravine.
And as we can see, the DeLorean has a bit of ice on the bonnet, doesn't it? Yes, it does. No. Yeah, it does. Yeah, so I don't think it would have done Clara any favours sat on the roof.
Yeah.
Oh, no. It was this
Losing
scene.
two of the best vehicles in science fiction history in the span of like two scenes. The hoverboard and the DeLorean.
No, it was just that. He's just looking at the DeLorean just turned to that pile of rubble.
The funny thing is, if you like hit a DeLorean in real life, it'll do the exact same thing, just fall apart like a cheap suit.
Oh, and that's a call back to the first movie with the number plates spinning on the floor.
Out of time, or wherever the license plate was.
Yeah. It is. Hannah Rose is saying, no, 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 no. I haven't been this sad since the horse sank in the swamp of sadness. The DeLorean was its own character, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the most iconic time machines in history.
Yeah. We can see that the better future has been
preserved.
Yeah. It's very 80s, and turtle wax is absolute crap for polishing your car with most products.
Yep. Such big, thick glasses there.
And also, why is he not joining the rest of his family closer to the camera, where his face would be more visible? You find Jennifer's mutated or something.
Mutated to look weirdly similar to his mother.
Yeah. That's true. That's true, Edward. It is sad, but take into consideration, it destroys no bad sequels, tarnishing the name of this trilogy.
Gotta take the small victories.
Yeah. Opens her eyes and goes, "You're my brother."
Oh God, even worse.
God, that Hilldale looks remarkably like the street from Poltergeist.
It does.
We bought a house cheap after something strange happened in the neighborhood.
Yeah. What's the guy's name again? Is it Needles?
No. The bad guys don't get to play the hero song.
Exactly.
Ah, Lizard Man, why would Marty ever feel the need to prove anything to this Weasley little crap stain? Unfortunately, some people do.
I have a bad case of the I need to prove myself
And
syndrome.
you shouldn't.
I know, but dang it.
But I've been known to enjoy Traffic Light Grand Prix as well.
One thing I don't suffer from at all is road rage. I am a very calm and careful driver.
Yeah, the problem I get, due to my car being electric, I get challenged at Traffic Light Grand Prix quite a bit by people. And then in the odd time I do indulge them, I win. Therefore, they become boring.
You need a new
win.
challenge.
I just win. Yeah. Yeah. I like to think, though, that in a minute when we see Doc has come to remove some of the future technology, because that Mr. Fusion could... he's come to remove some of the future technology from the DeLorean, because that could really pollute the 80s timeline. This is how Terminator started, people.
Exactly. They picked up Mr. Fusion. And before you knew it, Skynet was there.
Exactly, James. That Mr. Fusion could cause Terminator.
Or even worse. Silent Terror. What was the Chuck Norris film
Yeah.
called again?
Exactly. I got Calbot says it erased because it's crappy thermal fax paper. Marty's actually still fired in the future. Okay, yes, all right, Mad Matt. We're not going to refer to the small child and his creepy hand. The child who looks like a 5-year-old Dom.
Is it Jules or Vern that looks that way?
It's the creepy blonde one. You'll see him.
See oh God, he is terrifying,
isn't he? He's like he escaped from the poltergeist neighborhood that they drove
he
past.
did, yeah.
Just keep watching his hands. If you've never seen this bit of urban film legendary, it's very strange.
Admittedly, no, I didn't know about this cryptid that existed in my childhood films.
Wait, and just keep looking at his hands.
This is the problem with producers' kids when you bring them on set.
Sharon, he looks like he's from Children of the Corn.
He does, yeah. Or the Village of the Damned, is it?
Yeah. It means the rules of time don't apply.
He's sporting some cool gloves, though. Doc is rocking that look.
But that's a good words of advice we'll talk about in a moment after. Oh, was the scene there with a creepy child pointing at his groin? I think we must have missed it. Yeah.
Oh darn.
Yeah. But that's a good. They are good words. The future is unwritten. It's whatever you make of it. So make it a good one. Oh, that's cool. You can kind of see the train looks to have like sort of water running down the outside on parts of it, which is just
yeah.
Rails.
There we go. It looks like the Batmobile, doesn't it?
It's very cool though. It's very cool. The end.
The end.
At least they didn't put a big question mark at the end with a biff laugh.
Right.
Everybody, that was the last chapter of the Back to the Future trilogy. What an amazing trilogy it was. Yes, it's probably the most silly of them, part 3, but it's also a lot of fun. It's got a lot of heart. It wears its heart on its sleeve. I'll let the Discord and YouTube communities, if you give me your summaries of it, I'll relay them to everyone. And Dom, give me your summary of this movie and the trilogy.
The trilogy as well. I'll start with this movie. It's, like you said, the silliest of the 3. It's definitely the one that I would think children gravitate towards the most. I know I did as a kid, and then I reamed back from it. The trilogy as a whole, I cannot point at a more perfect sci-fi trilogy or movie trilogy ever. It's my favorite trilogy of all time. It's always the one I go to when people say that the first film in a franchise is like the only good one. There's loads like it, but there's very, very few perfect trilogies. Exactly. Very few, and this is one of them.
Exactly. They are perfect. A great request we had from the community after the first week was to watch all 3 back to back, and you can dip in and out. You can watch them back to back. They are just tremendous. They're a perfect trilogy. They don't need to be messed with. They don't need to create new chapters. Yes, there is the Telltale game, which is done very respectfully and very well, but equally, they didn't start doing lots of follow-ups and that kind of stuff. It's just brilliant.
Weirdly, it's the kind of franchise that would benefit from having like a Saturday morning cartoon of it.
Well, it had one, of course.
I didn't know that.
It did. The Saturday morning cartoon was not so great, but it was one of those things that just happened. The DeLorean came back, and the DeLorean, there was a new DeLorean in it that folded away into a briefcase, as well as the time train.
Oh my god. Okay, I'm glad I didn't know about it then.
Yeah. But it was fun doing them all back to back, and it was just absolutely brilliant. That's what we're all here for, to enjoy these movies. So next week, we will be back, as I said, with the first of our Halloween movies for the month of October, which will be Hellraiser. We've got quite a good Halloween season lined up for you. We'll let you know as those movies are announced. But like I say, next week we'll be watching Hellraiser. So quite a dramatic turn, tone, and genre of movie, but it's still going to be a great time. But everybody...
Nonsense! It's a family film.
But everybody, please, the next 7 days and onwards, look after each other, be kind. Remember the message of Doc, which is that the future is what you make of it, so make it a good one. So make your futures a good one and be kind, and we'll see you all in 7 days. Bye-bye.
See you then.